Hello all, welcome back to another interesting session. In this video, we are going to see a few interview questions which have prepared related to AWS DevOps profile. I have tried to cover almost all possible areas related to this profile, and I would say this video will be pretty useful in the process of preparing for your interview. So before jumping into the video, please like and subscribe my YouTube channel, which will give us confidence to post more and more genuine content like this. So let's get into the video now. So in this video, we are going to cover questions on following tools, okay, where we use Linux for hosting Kubernetes or installation of any packages and all. And for source code management, we are using GitHub. And for containerization purpose, we are using Docker. And for continuous integration and continuous delivery process, we are using Jenkins. And for orchestration process, we are using Kubernetes. And for code analysis purpose, we are using SonarQube. And for monitoring purpose, we are using Prometheus, Grafana, and Loki. So the questions are going to cover on the following areas. And we are going to cover questions on AWS as well, where we provide all our infrastructure. Okay, so before starting Linux questions, I would request everyone not to skip the video until the end, where there is chance of missing some content that I will explain in between the questions. So let's start with the Linux questions now. So first question is how to create a file and a directory inside a Linux virtual machine. So the command goes like touch space file name will create a file, mkdir space directory name will create a directory. Okay, in order to delete or remove a file, we use the following command rm space -rf, where we give file name and directory name. And in order to change permission for a file, we use command chmod. Okay, in order to change ownership, we use chown chown command. So in order to create a user, the command we use is user add. Okay, and in order to add user to a particular group, we use the command called user mod -ag space user and group name, where it will add that particular user to particular group. Okay, so if you want to copy or move files from one location to another location, so command goes like cp space source and destination. Okay, source file, what is the source file and where you want to copy that file to your destination. Similarly for move as well, we use mv. Okay, in order to find a file from your virtual machine, we use command called find command, and from base location slash and hyphen name space file name. This will search from what all the files we have in this particular location. From all those files, your file will be picked and displayed, and you'll get the path as well. Okay, so if you have some commands, okay, that you want to run in a particular period of time, okay, on a particular time, if you want to run on a daily basis or some schedule, okay, if you have, we use cron tab. Okay, generally we use cron tab. So in order to set up a cron tab, this is the command cron tab -e. Okay, so if you want to reach the what all the cron expressions you have scheduled, cron tab -l. S is not there. Okay, this is a mistake. And so if you want to uh, list all the running process which are running in your Linux, we use the command called ps-aux or ps-ef. Okay, and if you want to kill that particular process, if you have an id, you can use a command called kill-9 space the process id. So this will kill your process id. Okay, if you want now, you have a file, okay, and you want to find out a particular line which matches a particular character. Okay, so in order to filter or to find such characters from a file, okay, we use a command called grep. So in order to run multiple commands, okay, at a time, we use double ampersands, and we can mention 2 commands at a time, and this will be executed sequentially. Okay, and now if you have a scenario where you want to replace some words or lines, okay, in a file, we can use sed commands, okay, sed commands. And if you want to print, okay, from your file, if you want to print some rows or columns, okay, a particular content, if you are trying to print, you can use awk commands. Okay, and how to create symbolic links means, suppose we have installed aws CLI in our virtual machine, where it will be installed in a location called user local bin. There you have your binary file called aws. Okay, whenever you are trying to run some aws commands, you are getting error called aws command not found. Okay, so in that case, you need to copy that binary file to /bin location. There we'll use ln-s and installation location, okay, that is user local bin /aws to /bin aws. Okay, by doing this kind of creating symbolic links, okay, you can directly run your command aws -version or aws s3 commands or anything aws CLI commands. You will able to run the commands. Okay, so without creating these symbolic links, you always you need to pass your installation location where your binary file is there. Okay, so in order to skip that, we can create the symbolic links. And in order to download a package, okay, we use a duplicate or curl command. Okay, and suppose you have a file with you, and you need it to archive like a zip. Okay, so generally we install a package called zip, and zip space what is the file zip file name you want, that you will give, and the source file's name. Okay, source file name you will give. Okay, that will create a zip file. And in order to extract a tar file, okay, the command we use is tar -xvzf. and followed by the your tar file name. And generally we use a screen, okay, screen for running parallel process at a time. Okay, now I'm using a particular screen, and I want to run some process in behind mode, okay, in a detached mode. There we can create we can install a package called screen, and you can create a screen, okay, and you can start running your process. And whenever you want to use another screen, okay, parallelly, then you can use control AD, and you can come out of that screen, and you can use another process. Okay, if you want to go back to that particular screen again, you can use screen hyphen R and screen ID. Okay, for the first screen which you created, you will get a sort of ID. If you, by passing that ID over here, you can go back to that screen again, and if you want to come out of that again, we use control AD. So regarding this, I have made a separate video which I'll paste in the description below. Please go through it. Okay, now if you are trying to print something, okay, your file will be generating some kind of logs, or if you want to save some output into a particular file, okay, so we can use the command like this, and greater than symbol, and you can mention some sort of file. Okay, all the content will be saved inside this file. So for your virtual machine, in order to check what is the free RAM size, okay, you can use free hyphen h, which will display all the metrics, like how much RAM is used, how much it is available, how much buffer cache RAM it has consumed. So all the things you'll get. Okay, now in order to check free disk storage, okay, what the command we use is df hyphen h. Okay, so another command is how to find size of particular file in a directory. So we use du hyphen sh space file name. Okay, du hyphen sh space file name will give you how much size that file has occupied in your virtual machine. Got it right? So now if you want to check what all the active ports, or what all the ports listening on your virtual machine, you can use netstat command. Okay, this will list all the ports which are running on your virtual machine. And so if you have attached multiple volumes, okay, apart from root volume, if you have attached multiple additional volumes, CBS volumes to your virtual machine, to list all the blocks, okay, we use command called lsblk. And if you want to mount that block to your virtual machine permanently, maybe you can use this command mount hyphen o. And if to mount unmount, we use umount hyphen l. Okay, why do we use resync? This is very similar to copy command. Okay, we can also have some additional features like excluding or skipping some files while copying and all that we can do. And if you want to limit okay, how many process you want to run in your virtual machine, you can use this ulimit. And cron tab we have already covered. And see, if you have a file and you want to create a checksum ID for that, okay, we can use the command called md5sum, and followed by the file name, it will create a checksum ID. Checksum ID is a kind of unique ID. Okay, if you change any content in your file and try to create a checksum ID again, it will differ. Okay, even if you add a single space, your ID will differ. This will be used for comparing your files, or maybe when you are moving your files from one environment to another environment, let's say QA to pre-prod or something. There we mostly use this. Okay, and why do we use this SC Linux equal to 0 or 1? 0 is equal to permissive, or 1 equal to enforcing. Okay, these values refers that 0 equal to permissive, 1 is for enforcing. So what is the Java initial and maximum heap sizes? So uh, whenever your application, okay, let's say your application is starting, and it expects some, okay, space to run. Okay, in order to start a process of that particular application, it expects some size. So that is the initial heap size, and how much maximum it wants. Okay, that a developer can estimate, and you can mention that value. So if you are getting some heap issues, you can alter that as well. Okay, and this question is also done. And why do we use pipe? Okay, generally I'm trying to cat a file where I'm getting some content. We use a command called pipe, and we can grep also the content inside that. And how to install packages is so in Ubuntu we use apt as a apt repository to install packages. And in Linux related things like Amazon Linux CentOS, we use yum for installation purpose. Okay, and for editing files, we use vi or vim editor. And there were many other. Okay, most popular is vi. And in order to print date and month, we can use date or calendar. And watch command is something it what watch command do is when you are trying to list something, okay, and you are not getting proper output, and you are watching it repeatedly. So in order to skip that, okay, skip that thing, and by adding watch in front of your command, okay, only the output will be printed on your screen. And it will be the status will be updated for every 2 seconds. Okay, and that will be printed on your screen unless you skip it, okay, or you kill it using control D or control C. Okay, now what is the command to switch from one user to another user is sudo su space username. And what is the difference between hash and dollar? Dollar prompt indicates non-root user, hash indicates root user. Okay, if you are trying to print lines, okay, if you have a log file and you are trying to print only top 5 lines, you can use head. And if you're trying to print last few lines, you can use tail. Okay, and when you're trying to compare two files, okay, and when you're comparing two files, if you want to print unique lines between file 2 and file 1 and file 2, okay, and COMM hyphen 23 will print unique lines which are there in file 2, okay, whereas hyphen 13 will print unique lines which are there in file 1. Okay, file 1 and file 2 names you have to mention over here. Okay, this command we use to print the unique lines, okay, unique content between two files. And to print the number of lines in which to print the number of lines that we have in our file, okay, we use wc hyphen l. Okay, and to print the number of words, wc hyphen w. And to print number of characters, okay, hyphen c we use. So these are some of the basic linux commands which I have covered. Okay, and there will be a lot more, and this will be sufficient for performing your day-to-day activities. So let's start questions related to git now. So coming to git, whenever we want to initialize okay, your git in your workspace, we use git init command. And if you want to move all the files from untracked area to staged area, we use git add space file name. And if we use git add dot, it will move all the files from staged area to untracked to staged area. And now if you want to see the status of all the files, okay, whether they are in untracked or staged or committed or something, we use git status. Okay, and if you want to move the files from staged area to commit, okay, like local repo, not a remote repo. Okay, we use git commit. Now in order to push from local repo to remote repo, we use git push command. Okay, and in order to config your username and email id before you push your files to your remote repo, we use git config hyphen hyphen global user.name space username user.email space email id, which will give you which will configure your username and email address. Okay, and if you want to set your url, okay, remote url to in your location, we can add this we can use this command git remote add or set url. And if you want to download, okay, clone your repo, we can use git clone. And git stash is for hiding files, okay, files which are in staged area. Okay, after doing git add, you are trying to hide some files in from pushing, okay, from pushing it to local repo, we can use git stash. And to compare with who all the developers have made the similar changes onto a particular file, okay, which is giving some kind of conflicts, we can use git blame. And git pat indicates your personal access token, which will be used in your CI/CD purpose, maybe to access your repo and download your code and all. Okay, git webhooks indicates these are the webhooks, okay, which will trigger on a particular action, like when you push or made some changes to your repo. Okay, this will be triggered automatically and your CI jobs will run. Okay, using the git webhooks we can do this process. And git config commands we already covered. And git log means it will list all the commits, okay, commit IDs. If you want to print only the top first, the last commit ID, you can use git log hyphen hyphen one line, which will print the head commit. Okay, and if suppose if your all files are moved into staged area, okay, after git add, your files will be moved to staged area. So if you want to bring back again, you can use git restore. Okay, now if you want to create a new branch, we can use git branch space branch name. Okay, this will create a new branch. Now in order to enter from one branch to another branch, we can use git checkout space branch name. Okay, now in order to ignore some files to push, okay, we can use dot git ignore, which git will ignore automatically in order to push into your remote repo. And in order to merge two branches, we use git merge space branch name, that will generally merge one branch with another branch. Okay, so git stash we already covered. And git stash pop, which will bring back the hidden files to normal stage. Okay, and see, for hiding untracked files, okay, git stash will hide only staged files. Okay, to in order to hide the untracked files, we use hyphen u. Okay, hyphen u, I missed it. And in order to, if you are trying to commit, okay, and you feel this is not a big milestone, and if you wanted to do the commit or merge in the previous commit itself, you can do amend. Okay, git commit hyphen hyphen amend, and commit message name hyphen m. Okay, so here comes double hyphen and here comes a single hyphen, this is a mistake. And commit message. Okay, and git reset hyphen hyphen add commit id means to roll back. Okay, to roll back your commit, we use this git commit hyphen hyphen add reset. So these are all the general git commands, okay, and mostly these all will be used by developers. It's good to have idea on this, okay. So let's start with Docker now. So in order to list all the stopped and running containers, okay, we use docker ps-a. In order to list all the Docker images, we use Docker images directly, or Docker image ls also we can use, okay. And in order to remove all Docker images, containers, networks, okay, unused images and networks and all volumes, then you can use docker system prune-a. Okay, this will clear up your space from your virtual machine. And if you're trying to mount any volume or directly to a container, okay, we use -v flag. And in order to stop, start or restart a container, we use docker stop space container id or start space container id or restart space container id, okay. This will perform that action, start, stop and restart. And if you're trying to remove all the images in one shot, okay, you can use this command docker rmi dollar, and inside brackets you need to mention Docker images. And if you are trying to remove all containers in a single go, then you can use docker rm space -f. -f indicates both stopped and running containers, okay, it will remove. And inside brackets you need to mention docker ps-eq, okay. So in order to enter into the container, we use docker exec-it. It means it will open an interactive terminal, and followed by the container id, and /bin/bash at the end, okay. And if you want to come out of the container, okay, so if you're when you are coming out of the container, if you give exit, okay, and you see the container status, it will be in stopped state, okay. So if you should come out of the container and your container should be running, and in that case you use control pq to come out of the container, and it will be running in backend, okay. And in order to check, okay, details of your container, okay, we use docker inspect. And suppose if you are having a container and you doesn't want it to stop until unless we stop it manually, okay, so it should not stop automatically. So then we can update the container unless stopped, okay. With these flags we can keep the container alive all the time. And what is the difference between exec and attach, okay. What exec do is it will open a new process inside your container, whereas attach will also sort of getting inside the container, but new process will not be created, okay. Whatever the process is running, in that process only will go and will monitor, or we can run any sort of commands, whereas exec will open a new process. That is the major difference, okay. What is the difference between entry point and cmd? Generally we pass some parameters, okay, while starting the container, okay. But we can pass the parameters with the entry point. This will not be overridden, okay. We cannot change them. If you even if you try to change the entry point parameters while running your container, it will not accept, okay. This will remain unchanged, whereas cmd you can change, okay. That will be the major difference between these two. And in order to pull an image, we use docker pull, okay. In order to tag an image, okay, suppose you are pulling a qa image, and you are trying to push it to your prod environment, then you need to retag the image from qa to pre-prod registry. And in that scenario we use docker tag, okay. Docker tag qa registry slash image name to prod registry slash image name, like that. I will tag and then we can push, okay. You have a docker file, and you need to build, okay. The command we use is docker build -t. Dot indicates present working directory, or you can mention the directory where your docker file is present. So, okay, that will build a docker image. And in order to search, okay, if you have hundreds of images and you are trying to search a particular image, we can use docker search space image name. And if you want to see on which port your docker container is running, okay, docker port space container id will give the particular port on which it is running, okay. And the flags itv use is for interactive terminal. -hyphen name is whenever you are trying to create a new container from an image, we can mention this name and give a sort of name to your container, okay. -d indicates detached mode. -v we use for mounting volumes. -e is to pass environment variables. And the -p indicates port mapping, okay, from which port you want to map to which port, okay. Capital P indicates auto porting, okay. It will port automatically. Like if you want to keep it as default only, you can use capital P. If you want to change port now, you can mention small p. And --volume from means, suppose if you have a container where you mounted a volume to that, okay, and you want the same data into another container, then you can use --volume from space container id, okay. That will get all the details or content inside that volume to your new container as well, okay. And -hyphen network is if you are trying to run a container, okay, inside a particular network which you created, okay. Then we can use -hyphen network flag to create your container in that particular network. -hyphen link indicates whenever you are trying to attach to containers, okay, like to link to containers. Generally we use this link command, -hyphen link. And if we see the command, okay, docker run hyphen hyphen name new means this is the container name, okay, new is the container name. And if you want to link it with some other container running, okay, hyphen hyphen link old means some old container running, and you can give a sort of link name, okay. And the last name will be the image name. From this image this new container will be created. So now the old and new will be linked, okay. You can ping and do anything. And the flag volume from, okay. So you are trying to take content from another container, okay, where the volume is mount, and that content should be reflected into your new container. They can use Then you can use this command, docker run hyphen hyphen name, this is new container name, and volume from which old container name, okay, from which container you want to use the volume or content, okay. And in docker file we use the arguments from to mention the image where you want to download. Maintainer means like who is maintaining this image, okay. You can give your name or some organization name. CMD passing some variables. And entry point and CMD we have discussed above, right. And run is to run some commands, okay, like any Linux commands you want to run. Copy is to copy files from your local to your host. And user is to create a user, okay, for running the process. Like he will be the owner inside the container. Like work directory means in order to change from one location to another location, okay, you can use work directory. And add and copy are mostly similar. Like a small difference is you can add or copy from another remote repos as well, okay. If you have some remote host, you can use, and you are trying to copy content from there to your container, okay, you can use add. And to pass environment variables we use env. And to expose your port, okay, we use expose. And on which port you want to expose you can give that, okay. And if you are trying to mount volumes we use volume inside docker file. And if you're trying to label it, okay, if you're trying to label means giving a sort of name to your container. So for recognition purpose or for referring in any other containers or deployments, maybe you can use label, okay. Docker networking and types, like there will be some different kinds of networks, okay. You can create your own custom networks. And you can run your containers inside your own network, okay. Like we have bridge network, overlay network, zero network. You can like do some research on this where you will get a good content. So these all questions related to docker. Let's start with the Jenkins now. So coming to Jenkins we use for continuous integration and continuous delivery purpose, okay. Some questions related to that are how do you pass a custom workspace inside your Jenkins pipeline. So when you're trying to run your job on a machine, okay, on maybe it's on master or any slave, so inside that agent block you can mention this custom work directory. And mention your new location where your job should run, and your workspace should be there. So you can use this, okay. And if you're planning to run a job, okay, after execution of another job, suppose let's say after successful execution of CI job your CD job should be triggered, okay. In that case you can use this build job where it will and build job and followed by the name, okay, where your job location is there. It will trigger your job automatically once your parent job is done, okay. Your child job will be triggered. How do you pass credentials in a Jenkins file is generally we use with credential block, or in environment block also you can declare. And you can pass kind of secret files or secret text as well, okay. These are all possibilities. And how to use tools configured inside a Jenkins file, okay. If you are planning to use any Node.js or Sonar scanner tools, like there will be some tools available. And if you have installed the plugins, and your tools are available, okay, inside your master to use in the environment block, okay, directly you can use this tool with this syntaxing, okay. Tool space your tool name. And if you want to skip, okay, if you have multiple stages in your Jenkins file, let's say stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, even if your stage 2 is failed, okay, your stage 3 should run. In that scenario we can use try catch block, okay. Maybe you can if there is a particular command you know that will fail, okay. Even though you want to run your pipeline, you can use hyphen hyphen true. That will sorry, pipeline double pipes true, that will skip that particular command, okay. Even if it is giving a kind of error, it will be ignored, okay. And if you are trying to publish reports, okay, generally from your test cases like JMeter or Gradle, or you're scanning some kind of containers, okay, using some tools called Trivi. If you're trying to publish your results or graphs, okay, you can download a plugin called publish HTML. And where you will get option in your post build action, you can configure that. And after successful execution of your job, you want to clear up your workspace in order to save some space in your virtual machine, okay. That may be your Jenkins master or slave. You can use clean workspace. This using this syntax we can clean your workspace, okay. How to add credentials in Jenkins, okay. This is passing and adding means we have an option directly in manage Jenkins. We can add credentials, okay. And for administration purpose, like restricting access to particular groups or users or teams, okay, we use a role based authorization strategy plugin where you can restrict a particular user to a particular project, or he can view only particular directories, okay, only which belong to his project. That all files he can see. And if you want to run a job on the specific slave, okay, then you can use inside your pipeline there will be a particular character, sorry, a particular word called agent. After that, if you mention your label name, your job will be executed on the particular slave machine, okay. And the Jenkins master slave configuration, I have made a separate video. I will add it in the description below. And what are the executors in slave, okay. If you are trying to run some parallel jobs, okay, like two jobs should run on a particular machine. If you want to enable that, there will be a configuration called executors directly. If you give a value called 4 or 5, so you can run at a time 4 to 5 jobs, okay, on the particular slave. Based on the load, you can decide how many executors you want to give, okay. And what is Jenkins parameters and parameterized build means? Suppose if you have if you're trying to clone a git repo, okay, as a part of your CI, and every time you want to pass a different git branches, okay. In that case, you can pass you can parameterize your build, okay. And you can pass the custom values, okay, whatever the values you want. So like this, there will be many scenarios where you can parameterize your build. And inside your pipeline, if you want to pass some shell commands, okay, we open a block called shell block sh space single quotes or double quotes or triple quotes. If you want to pass a single command, okay, you can use sh space single quote. In between two single quotes, you can pass your command, okay. If you have multiple commands, sh space triple quotes, and you enter all your multiple commands, and after that you close with again triple quotes, okay. Like that we can pass. So master flow configuration I will share in description. Like if you want to fail a pipeline, you can use exit one directly. It will fail your pipeline automatically, okay. We can also decide how many builds, okay. Build, suppose I have run a job now, like similarly I have run that 10 times, okay. After 11th time, my first job should be deleted. Like that, you can decide and configure in your Jenkins configuration directly in your job configuration. So based on the number you give, that many builds will be available, old builds, okay. Replay and rebuild, in replay, if you made any change, okay, that will not be permanent, okay. If you are in a testing stage, whether your script is correct or not, you can do this replay, hit on this replay tab, and make run your jobs. And for rebuild, if you are trying to run with the same set of parameters again, you can use rebuild, okay. And some of the global parameters are like dollar workspace indicates your whatever the workspace you are using, it will print that value. Build number, build URL, okay. Like this, there will be some kind of general global parameters. We don't need to declare them. Jenkins will automatically recognize and print that value. So if you are trying to upgrade your Jenkins version, okay, don't the for the process we should follow is we should take backup, okay, of the files present in our workspace, maybe in our master machine. And after that only we need to go for upgradation if something fires back. So it will help us to revert back or roll back to the previous version. So we shouldn't upgrade it directly, okay. And for backup also, there were few plugins available. Plugins are nothing but in order to establish connectivity or use any particular tools or use any particular process, okay. For that, this is like extensions, okay, maybe packages that if we download, we are able to use, okay. Jenkins will maintain few plugins that we can download. Based on the requirement, we can download all the plugins, and we can use them. So types of pipelines we have is scripted and declarative style. Mostly we use declarative in our working day-to-day working activities. And another types of jobs available are freestyle jobs and multi branch pipeline. Like that, there will be some different configurations available in Jenkins, okay. Using these all, we complete our CI/CD part, okay. So let's start with the orchestration tool, that is Kubernetes. We can establish connections between multiple tools to this Jenkins, okay. Like we can establish connection between Jenkins and Kubernetes clusters, Jenkins to GitHub, Jenkins to SonarQube, Jenkins to JFrog Artifactory, and your Docker repos. Like that, you can establish multiple connections in order to complete your CI process, okay. And coming to the Kubernetes, first is architecture of Kubernetes. So Kubernetes architecture goes like this. Okay, so the first block indicates master or control plane, and this is a worker node. Okay, you can have any number of worker nodes attached to a single master. Okay, the components present in the master machine or control plane are Cube API server, Cube scheduler, controller manager, etcd. Okay, Cube API server is nothing but it receives requests, okay, in the form of YAMLs that we send to Kubernetes. Okay, and this will send request to Cube scheduler. Okay, and what this Cube scheduler do is it will directly communicate with your worker node kubelet. Okay, and suppose if your YAML has some instructions like to create a pod and service. Okay, that request will be first sent to Cube scheduler, and your Cube scheduler will send your request to kubelet. Okay, and what this controller manager do is in your deployment file. Okay, if you are mentioning your replicas must be 2 or 3. Okay, so it will always check whether your desired state is equal to actual state. Okay, and if it is not there, it will spin up the pods or terminate the pods based on the present condition. Okay, and etcd is nothing like a brain of the Kubernetes cluster, where it will store details about all the worker nodes, like credentials and all the information about the cluster. Okay, it is like a brain of your cluster, and this Cube API server will runs on port number 6443. Okay, and coming to the worker nodes, this kubelet will take instructions directly from Cube scheduler. Okay, and it will send it to the container engine. Suppose it will read. Okay, it will read the manifest file. If it contains like to create replicas 1 or 2, it will send the instructions to the container engine. Container engine is nothing but Docker. Okay, Docker needs to be installed in your worker node, and this will create the required number of containers and spin up the pods and all. Okay, and this kube proxy is for networking. Okay, it will give the IPs to your pods that are created. Okay, so this is the architecture. So in master we have 4 components. In worker nodes we have 3 components. So the second question is, what are pods? Okay, pods are nothing but abstraction layer, like a top layer on your containers. Okay, in a pod there may be any number of containers. Okay, Kubernetes recognize only pods, so it doesn't know containers. If you want to send any information or communicate with your containers, so you need to mention the pod name. So that is the pod. Okay, like abstraction layer over containers. So how to create a cluster? So regarding this, I have prepared a video and I'll paste that link in description below. Please go through it. Okay, so in both master node and worker node, we install 3 components: KubeADM, kubelet, and kubectl. Okay, these 3 components will be similar. So if we initiate KubeADM in any machine, okay, that will become master, and we use canal pods for the networking purpose in your Kubernetes clusters. Okay, and how to check or list all the pods in all namespaces. Okay, we use kubectl get pods hyphen capital A. Okay, that will list all the pods in all namespaces. If you want to list pods in a particular namespace, kubectl get pods hyphen n space namespace. Okay, hyphen n, and you give namespace that the pods in the particular namespace will be listed. Okay, what are the errors issues faced while deployment? Like if your image is running on a particular port and you are in your manifest files you mentioned a different port. Okay, you will get a container config creating error, and if you mention a wrong image name, image pull back off, and if resources are not sufficient, will get evicted pod issues, and readiness prob, liveness prob issues, like this. There will be many kind. Okay, you can do a bit of research on it, and you'll get good stuff. Okay, from internet and all. And readiness probe and liveness probe. Okay, this is a kind of health checks. Okay, so from the time you given a command to start a pod, okay, it the Kubernetes wait for some time, and it will send a kind of a signal to your pod. Okay, is the status is ready to use and all. Okay, that is the readiness probe, and once the container is up and running, okay, for every particular time period, it will send some kind of signal again. Your cluster will send a signal, and it will monitor, okay, whether you're getting proper response or not. So the probes we use for that scenarios, and deployment and stateful set differences are nothing but see, if you want your data to be persistent. Okay, like they should be consistent. uh, let's say an example like databases. Okay, if you connect your database from any number of sources and you check your data, the data should be same. Okay, like if you check from one point, if your data is showing some content, and when you are trying to check data from a different source, if it's showing a different content, okay, this inconsistency shouldn't be there. Okay, in that cases we use a stateful set. Okay, like data should be consistent, and deployments are nothing but the data will be inconsistent, and it won't store data mostly. Okay, and ingress controller over load balancer. In Kubernetes service, load balancer is nothing but just to route traffic based on the load. Okay, if uh, if you have three replicas and if any one of the pod is not busy, okay, that request will be sent to your particular pod. Okay, there will be no intelligence used in this scenario, whereas in ingress we can do path based routing. Okay, like that. So we can compare this Kubernetes load balancer with NLB and ingress load balancer with your ALB. Okay, so path based routing, host based routing, these are all possible in ingress controller. So what is metric server is, it will give you all kind of metrics related to your cluster. Okay, that might be related to your CPU or memory. Okay, and once your metric server is installed, you can use kubectl top nodes and top pods to see how much memory is used, how much CPU is used. Okay, in all your nodes inside your cluster. Okay, how do you check events and logs? We'll use command called kubectl describe pod. Okay, or kubectl logs space pod name, that will give the list of events and logs. Okay, so what are the types of autoscaling we use is, we use HPA configuration, horizontal pod autoscaling, or vertical pod autoscaling. Both we can use. Okay, and how to create a secret in Kubernetes, kubectl create secret. Okay, and how to decode is, we can decode, once you are creating a secret, it is base 64 encoded. Okay, we need to use hyphen hyphen decode flag to decode that value. And how to list all namespaces is, kubectl get ns. Okay, it will give all namespaces. And how to create is kubectl create namespace space name space, the name you want to give to your namespace. Okay, and how to list services, this is kubectl get svc. Okay, config maps is kubectl get cm, secrets is kubectl get secrets, and deployments is kubectl get deployments, replica sets similar thing, similar way. And stateful set also we can do with kubectl get stateful sets. Okay, and how do we refer config map values in deployment YAML files? So we can pass in our environment block in our deployment file, where we use refer from, and we give the config map name and key name also. From that we'll refer. Okay, whatever the values are there in config map, that will be reflected into your deployment. Okay, and config map versus secret is nothing but, in config map, okay, we will not encode our data, whereas in secrets we'll encode data. Secrets are mostly used for sensitive informations like passwords and all. Like config maps are general, like key value pairs. We can store our data, and we can use that in any number of deployment files. Okay, and what are storage classes and types? Storage classes are basically two types. Okay, automatic and manual. And whenever you create a storage class by mentioning a particular path, okay, your PVCs will get scheduled in the particular location. Okay, automatic means you don't need to create any PV. Okay, once you mention your claim, automatically PV will be created, and you can use your persistent volume claims from the particular location where you mentioned in your storage class. Okay, taint and tolerance, when you are trying to uh, deploy something into your nodes, okay, which shouldn't be reflecting into another node. Okay, it should not go into another node. You should restrict all other nodes, and your deployment should go into a particular node. Okay, in that case you use this taint and torrent concept. Okay, so download logs from particular span of time. Okay, that is kubectl get logs. We can use that command, and inside that you can use a flag called hyphen hyphen since equal to, and how much time period you want, like 24 hours, 48 hours, that if you mention, right, so that all the logs from the particular timestamp time you mentioned, right, that will be displayed, and you can download them. And how to kubectl command to find out CPU and memory used. So once your metric server is installed, we can use kubectl top pods, kubectl top nodes. Okay, and if your node is in not ready state, how do you troubleshoot? Let's go and SSH into the worker nodes, okay, which is in not ready state, maybe because of some storage issues or maybe connectivity issue. Okay, your node might be in not ready state. Okay, so try to troubleshoot in the following areas, in terms of resources and in terms of connectivity. Okay, if nothing works, okay, just print the join command in your master, and go and use that join command in your slave machines. Okay, and after rerunning the worker script in your worker nodes, use the join command to join back the node to your cluster. Okay, uh, and this is also a kind of error. So this generally will get when we are not exporting our cube config file properly. So once after exporting perfectly, okay, this error will be gone. How to disable scheduling on worker node? Okay, we can also disable scheduling on worker nodes. We use concept called kubectl cordon. Okay, again, if you want to enable scheduling, we use uncordon, kubectl uncordon node name. PV and PVC. Persistent volume is nothing but a piece of volume from your machine, okay, or any storage device you attach like EFS or S3. So this is a piece of volume, and you can claim from that piece of volume using PVCs. Okay, and labeling a node, you can label a node. Okay, uh, you can give a sort of name to your node, worker node, and you can use this node selector concept for deploying into the particular node, okay, using this label. And how do we check connectivity between two services? Okay, like front end and back end. We can do kubectl exec for this front end, and we can do curl command or ping command to check the connectivities. Okay, like why do pod gets evicted? This is mainly due to uh, in insufficient storage, okay, or resources are not sufficient. When resources are not sufficient, the pods will evict. Okay, and image pullback of when you mention a wrong image name. Okay, and when you mention wrong port numbers, like this errors you get. Okay, and some kind of configuration issues, you need to recheck again. And we can also renew the Kubernetes certificate, expired certificates. This commands I'll paste in the description below. Okay, please go through it. And we can, if we have a service which is of cluster IP, we can also expose it. Okay, by editing your service directly, or you have a kubectl command. Okay, expose service, there's a command. Okay, we can use that directly to expose it to a node port. Okay, and how to print join command is for that also we have a command to run in master, that is kubeadium token create hyphen hyphen print join command. Okay, that will generally create a command which you will run in your worker nodes to attach it to your master. Okay, how to deploy into a different namespaces while deploying? Okay, kubectl apply hyphen f space your deployment name, right, deployment file name. And you can mention hyphen n value which will deploy into a particular namespace. Okay, hyphen n space demo means your manifest files get deployed into demo namespace, like that. You can use hyphen n while deploying. Like copy a file into a pod without executing means we have a command. We can try it out, that like kubectl cp. You can use that. And pod storage location, okay, where the pod logs get stored. Okay, in your VM is var log pods. Okay, that is the location, /var /log /pods. Okay, these are the few questions that are covered as part of Kubernetes. So if we go to the index ones, we have covered Linux, Git, Docker, Jenkins, Kubernetes. And regarding the SonarQube, I have prepared a separate video. I'll paste the link in description below, where you can see the installation step and code analysis part. Okay, if you want to mention your credentials to authenticate and to create a project, you mention all those details in your sonar.properties file. Okay, that will be a kind of question. And why do we use Prometheus, Grafana and Loki is generally for monitoring purpose. Okay, Grafana is for visualizing. Prometheus is for fetching metrics. Okay, like CPU, memory usage, uptime, load, like all these things. Okay, network related things, Prometheus will be used. Okay, and the data source for Prometheus is node exporter. Okay, node exporter will work for Prometheus and it will share all the details, whereas the Loki will fetch logs for all your pods. Okay, pods and your deployments and all. Loki will fetch the logs, and in backend Promptel will work as an endpoint for Loki. Okay, so we covered the Prometheus, Grafana and Loki. And regarding this also I've made a video where I've shown all the CI/CD part, and in the end I have deployed this Prometheus, Grafana and Loki setup. You can go through that as well. I'll paste that in description. So regarding AWS, I'll make a separate video, as this video is getting long. So that's it for the session, guys. Hope this video is informative in your interview preparation process. And thank you so much for watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you so much.